Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. Birds singing in the sycamore tree. Dream a little dream of me.
To change something. And effectively, things don't work that way. Even ethics, everything. You need a small minority with skin in the game, typically, to change the system. And let me explain. I discovered it one day. There was a bunch of Orthodox Jews visiting, an institute where I was, helping out with a party, and it was in Boston. And I told them, oh, I'm so sorry, let me make sure we have kosher stuff. They said, well, all lemonade is kosher in America, and actually all iced tea is kosher in America. All sodas are kosher, at least in the East Coast. What? I Googled, 0.3% of the population is kosher. 100% of the lemonade is kosher. And it has a label on the bottom. Why? Because very simple. You can drink kosher lemonade without complaining. They cannot drink kosher lemonade. So you have that asymmetry. Same asymmetry that you see with skin in the game. So for example, now I was at Christmas in a family dinner in America. We had lamb. I opened the packet. It said halal. How many Muslims are there in America? Less than 1.5%. Halal meat for when you go to, why? Because it's so expensive to merchandise halal, non-halal. So you tell, it's those who need to know will know, you see? So this is a minority rule. If you get, absolutely, now almost no school district in America that allows peanuts. And it's like, because if you have a peanut allergy, you cannot have peanut, but you cannot peanut. So if you generalize, it looks like all these binary rules seem to come from minorities who don't want, what I call the intolerant minority. If I only eat kosher, I'm only going to eat kosher. So you can generalize it to other things, to behavior. If I'm a thief, I don't mind having non-stolen merchandise. But if you're intolerant minority, you want to have only non-stolen merchandise. So you put these rules in society, and you see how basically some minority, what I call a symmetric minority, dominates in so many things. Okay, and so
what's the implication of this for a continent like Europe?
Well, a country like Europe, well, within Islam, and let's talk about Islam. It's a thing people talk about. Within Islam, you have Shiite Islam, and then you have Sunni Islam. All right. Within Sunni Islam, people, it's a misnomer to call Islamists. You have small groups. So basically, the problem is that if you put one Salafi with 10 people, the 10 have to act like a Salafi. Trump was busted at least once. Okay, and we have evidence from my days in banking. I was for 21 years a trader. But before becoming a trader, I was in banking, and my friends were lending to Trump. Okay. So, and we know that he actually brought down, he went bust and brought down manufacturers Hanover. Okay. So the fact that he lost $1 billion made him real, and made him look like he's at a time, but was exposure to Islam because it's around us, and we know, we study the language, the religion, everything. And then I noticed one thing, that Tripoli, Lebanon, for example, you can recognize Christian women when I was a kid. And the fact that they had the Russian babushka type thing to cover them, but Muslim women, no. And then Salafis came, small amounts, and then now everybody's acting like a Salafi, and nobody eats pork, nobody drinks. So you can see how a small minority can change an environment. So there's nothing wrong with accepting, or the point is you need to know, understand that the intuition of that mechanism is present in some population who may want some rule. Like, for example, if I bring a Hindi to America, it's not going to change dietary laws. See? But if you bring Salafis, it changes dietary laws and change other things. And think that you understand the system.
And yet, the very terrifying point is that this class propagates itself, amplifies and boosts itself, and has inserted itself so deeply into the mechanism of the state, it's hard to see it usurp.
No, but let me tell you what they do. What happened is that they use language in a way that mathematician, given that my work is mathematical, my real job is now is doing applied math. That's my real job. So you define things properly. What happened is that they start use words, buzzwords. You know that this and this, and you know, they use buzzwords, and by using these words, they completely destroy the personal.
We can come back to that. You know, don't worry about. But worry with the Irish. We're like cockroaches. We never come in just one. So don't see one of us as loads of us around. Now, who's got the next gentleman there?
I have a question about arguably the biggest game changer of this millennium. That was 9/11. It's changed foreign policy around the world.
Yeah.
It's launched several wars.
Yeah.
And mainstream media is pretty united on the official version of 9/11. Yet more than 3,000 experts, engineers, architects, U.S. military people at the highest levels do not believe the official account. And I'm curious if you have addressed this issue in your upcoming
No,
book.
I problem. Because they don't realize that everything they've done caused catastrophes, all right? But at the same time, they think they're going to get it right next time.
Yeah, well, there's a gentleman with the mic there, and I'm going to come down right to the front row next.
Hello, sir. So my question is, do you have any insights into the recent demonetization of Indian currency?
Okay, let me tell you, I am never going to talk about this unless I have skin in the game. I got none, I'm not going to comment, all right? Okay, I have my own ideas, but I'm not going to comment, just out of honor. But if I settled in India, I'm definitely, if you invite me to come back, enough that it will have an impact on me, I will comment.
There's a lady here with the mic, yeah.
Hi, I think the previous answer sort of demonstrates what I wanted to ask about. With your body of work, a lot of people would see you as an expert on, say, something like an expert problem. Do you worry about that happening to you as well? And what do you do to guard against that?
Well, there is something that is called, I mean, actually, you cannot, the skeptic is not an expert, it's an anti-expert. If you debunk a falsehood, there's no expert problem, or you get the idea.
Are the Irish famine and stuff you really know about?
I'm a risk business, and a risk business is not
more of the universal
something
to more of the particular,
you can dispense with.
specifically.
You see?
Who has the next question? I think there's a gentleman there with the mic standing. Yeah?
Hello. Sir, I have two questions for you. Recently, I read your article about semi-intellectual experts.
Yeah.
You call them IYI, intelligence at area. So my question is, do you see the same class emerging in India? And the second question.
Let me tell you why I like India. There is a book by a fellow who's here, Hardeep Singh. Read it on foreign policy. Someone asked me, okay, and you read a book by Hardeep Singh on interventionism, and you realize that there is a two-way order flow, so what I would say, thinking in India that has ceased to exist in the West. The West has, just like we have the Irish potato famine, we have monoculture, and labels like helping Saudi Arabia bomb the hell out of Yemen is perfectly on the left, okay? And you can bomb Mosul, they're not, harm to the population is blessed. So Obama dumping 26,000 shells is absolutely nothing wrong with that, all right? So you get the idea. So we have monoculture in the States. In India, from what I see, people are aware of some kind of long tradition of time, and that really time is the expert, and if you depart from time, from the rule of time, the burden of the proof is on you, you see? So there is that I've seen that consciousness, because the only book I've seen on foreign policy that made sense to me was written by an Indian, all right? Sometimes the newspaper articles, so I realized that effectively the system may not be good, but it's definitely healthier than the one we have in Europe and the United States.
Did you have a second part to your question? I suspect you did.
Lower the level of public discourse because not everybody reads the Black Swan, and not everybody who reads the Black Swan understands the.
Okay. Let me explain what the social media did. That's good.
Thank you very much for that.
All right. Let me answer about social media very quickly. In a naturalistic environment, you can't hide anything from anyone. So, in a naturalistic environment in a village, people communicate. Between between 1940s, say the 40s, and 2000, the world was owned by the elite. Because people would go home, it's not a two-way conversation with the TV, and you read the New York Times. That's another aberration, all right? You read the New York Times. So I have a one-way order flow. Social media is more naturalistic. You go to the marketplace, you talk.
So that's my completed setup for February. It is in Welsh, the month is Chwefror, and that is about purification, and obviously we have Imbolc falling in this month, so it quite often is a time for doing kind of ritual purification type stuff. My calendar page, I filled in my card from my tarot card for the month, which I pulled in the year ahead spread. I have actually pulled some of these now, but I haven't filled them in yet because I want to think a little bit more about my focus and things like that before I fill those in. And I obviously haven't put anything else on the calendar yet. I've just got the moon phases on there. It's quite pale this month, but I quite liked how it turned out actually. I've started to fill in some of my to-dos in February, and I've filled in some of the habits and my habit tracker. I've added a few more stickers and things, I think, to these pages as well from when I was doing the setup. So this is where I filled in mostly my field guide, which I use my almanacs and the diaries that I bought, and also Nigel Pearson's Walking the Tides, to get kind of like a idea of what is going on in this month and things that are kind of connect with me and my local area and things to look out for and stuff like that. So like frog spawn should be able to be seen this month. We might be able to look out for some evidence of badgers around the place. We're actually going to be doing the garden bird watch now this weekend, the last weekend in January, because it's still January as I'm filming this. And then as I see these things and do these things, I make a note to them with the date and what I saw, what I did in the field notes section, which I thought would be quite a cool thing to look back on at the end of the year and in subsequent years, to be able to kind of compare the different, whether the seasons and the months feel the same kind of weather-wise and nature, flora and fauna-wise over the years. And then predictions January 2019. So I did this. This is something that was suggested by Gordon White in Chaos Protocols to kind of get better at divination, to actually create a more tight feedback loop. So what I'm going to be doing here, I haven't done it yet because I want to do it right at the very end of the month, is to look back on my predictions for January and see how they went. And the way that he suggests doing it, and that's how I've tried it, is you just come up with your own predictions based on what you think might happen this month, and then you look at the astrology of what is going on in this month, and you put a kind of summary of what is going on from that point of view, and then you look at, you would use cards and you do some divination about what is coming up this month, and you'd write about that, and then sort of see who has it the most accurate, really. And he says quite often it's not so much you, as sometimes it will be the astrology and tarot that will be a little bit more accurate, or things that kind of come up in the astrology and tarot you'll be able to interpret in a better way once you get this feedback loop going. So that is the reasoning behind that. I've got my astrology and astronomy pages as I always have, although I've stuck them in like this to allow for me to make more notes, because I've been finding sometimes in my field notes I've been noting about things I see in the sky, but then that page was getting a bit too full too quickly in January, so I can note about things I see in the sky now underneath here, which will be cool. And then I've gone back to having a gratitude, just a very, very simple gratitude journal, 1 line a day here. And then I've got my first day of February started here, although obviously it's not, I haven't kind of fully filled out that day yet. And that is it. So I hope that has been useful, and I've seen some gorgeous examples of journals that people have kind of taken some of the ideas I've shared here and then completely like made them so cool. So yeah, let me know if you're bullet journaling as well, if you've been sharing your journal, because I'd love to come and see too. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Warmest blessings, and I will see you very soon.